afternoon. This is the October 6th, 2022 afternoon session of the Portland City Council. Keelan, please call the roll.
Good afternoon. Maps.
Here.
Rubio. Ryan.
Here.
Hardesty.
Here.
Wheeler.
All right, great. Colleagues, this afternoon we have a quasi-judicial hearing in front of council. Today we will consider a recommendation of the hearings officer on whether to amend the comprehensive plan and zoning map at 4928 Northeast 11th Avenue. But first, the city attorney will make some additional announcements about today's hearing.
Okay, so I'll let Keelan read the item into the record.
Oh,
and then-
sorry.
No, that's fine. You're
Keelan,
basically
please
already
read
did
the
it.
item into the record.
Amend the comprehensive plan map and zoning map for property at 4928 Northeast 11th Avenue at the request of Allison Reynolds Stoll Reeves LLP, LU 21-098835 CPZC.
Great, thank you very
All right.
much. And now I believe the city attorney will make some additional announcements about
Yes.
today's hearing.
And I have a lot of them, so bear with me here. Okay, so first about decorum in general. Welcome to the Portland City Council. City Council is holding hybrid public meetings with limited in-person attendance in addition to electronic attendance. If you wish to testify before council in person or virtually, you must sign up in advance by visiting the council agenda on the council clerk's webpage at www.portland.gov/council/agenda. You may sign up for communications to briefly speak about any subject. You may also sign up for public testimony of resolutions, reports, or first readings of ordinances. In-person testimony can occur from one of several locations, including City Council chambers and the Lovejoy Room in City Hall and the Portland Building. Written testimony may be submitted at cctestimony.portlandoregon.gov. Your testimony should address the matter being considered at the time. When testifying, please state your name for the record. Your address is not necessary. Please disclose if you're a lobbyist. If you're representing an organization, please identify it. The presiding officer preserves order and decorum during City Council meetings so everyone can feel welcome, comfortable, respected, and safe. The presiding officer determines the length of testimony. Individuals generally have 3 minutes to testify unless otherwise stated. A timer will indicate when your time is done. Disruptive conduct, such as shouting, refusing to conclude your testimony when your time is up, or interrupting others' testimony or council deliberations will not be allowed. If there are disruptions, a warning will be given that further disruption may result in a person being ejected for the remainder of the meeting. After being ejected, a person who fails to leave the meeting is subject to arrest for trespass. Additionally, council may take a short recess and reconvene virtually. Okay, now I'm also going to give procedures about this specific land use hearing as well. So
Thank you.
more to come. All right, this is an evidentiary hearing. This means you may submit new evidence to council in support of your arguments. For council hearing, hearings officer recommendation on a comprehensive plan map, testimony will be heard as follows. We will begin with staff report by BDS staff. Following the staff report, City Council will hear from interested persons in the following order. The applicant will go first. After the applicant, the council will hear from individuals or organizations who support the applicant's proposal. Each person will have 3 minutes to testify. Next, council will hear from persons or organizations who oppose the applicant's proposal. Again, each person will have 3 minutes to testify. If there was testimony in opposition to the applicant's proposal, the applicant will have 5 additional minutes to rebut testimony given in opposition to the proposal. The council may then close the hearing and deliberate. As this is a non-emergency ordinance, it will pass the second reading. Council may make amendments to the ordinance and findings or direct staff to return with amendments. For evidentiary hearings, I'd like to announce several guidelines for those who will be addressing City Council today. First, submitting evidence into the record. Any letters or documents you wish to become part of the record should be given to the council clerk or emailed. Similarly, the original or a copy of any slides, photographs, drawings, maps, videos, or other items you show to council during your testimony, including PowerPoint presentations, should be given to the council clerk to make sure they become part of the record. Testimony must be directed to the approval criteria. Any testimony or arguments and evidence you present must be directed toward the applicable approval criteria for this land use review, or other criteria in the city's comprehensive plan or zoning code that you believe apply to the decision. BDS staff will identify the applicable approval criteria as a part of their staff report to council. Third, issues must be raised with specificity. You must raise an issue clearly enough to give the council and the parties an opportunity to respond to the issue. If you don't, you will be precluded from appealing to the Land Use Board of Appeals based on that issue. Fourth, the applicant must identify constitutional challenges to conditions of approval. Additionally, if the applicant fails to raise constitutional or other issues relating to the proposed conditions of approval with enough specificity to allow the council to respond, the applicant will be precluded from bringing an action for damages in circuit court. Okay, back to you, Commissioner Mass.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, before we begin today, do any members of council wish to declare a conflict of interest? Commissioner Ryan.
I don't have a conflict of interest, but I thought it would be important to share that I know this site really well. I think with this area quite a bit, but never in relationship to the item in discussion today.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Ryan, for that. Does anyone on council wish to ask Commissioner Ryan about his site visits to this space? Seeing none, colleagues, I need to ask you one more or two more questions. Do any members of council have any new ex parte contacts to declare or information gathered outside of this hearing to disclose?
Nope, the third time is when you should have, but you've done it. It's okay. Yeah, that's okay. We're thorough.
Seeing none, I believe we've had no new ex parte contacts, and we have not gathered any information outside of this hearing. Colleagues, have any members of council made any site visits involved in this matter that they have not already disclosed? I believe Commissioner Ryan has disclosed the fact.
Yeah, what I said earlier should have been said now.
Great.
Wasn't that really good for the record? Okay, great.
Perfectly done, Commissioner Ryan. And I think we've already established that council has no questions concerning Commissioner Ryan's previous visits to this site. And one final question before we commence today. Do the members of council have any other matters that need to be discussed before we begin this hearing? Seeing none, let's continue. Do we have a staff report on this item today?
Yes. Yes, we do.
Great. Well, I have the great pleasure of welcoming staff. I believe you have 10 minutes to present a report.
Oh my gosh. All right, I will try, and
And just to be clear, the 10 minutes is a suggested time.
All right.
It's
I
within-
suggest you
yeah.
try to get this
So
done in
much.
10 minutes, but we will be wise.
yes, I will try to keep it to 10 minutes. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marguerite Foyer-Sanger. I'm a city planner with the Bureau of Development Services. And I have a PowerPoint here to share.
Not seeing
it
yet.
Bear with me here. Got it?
Yes, we do.
Very good. So as was stated before, this is a proposal for a comprehensive plan map and a zone map amendment. Those are two separate land use reviews for property at 4928 Northeast 11th Avenue. So my presentation has 5 parts. I'm going to just briefly summarize the proposal and the zoning of the site, show you some photos because I did visit the site, approval criteria, and talk about the neighborhood comment that was held at a prior public hearing with the hearings officer, and then go through the hearings officer's recommendation. It should be noted that this process is a type 3 land use review. It's a little bit different, these comprehensive plan map amendments, as they require 2 public hearings. The first public hearing was held on June 29th. And what I am going to summarize is the hearings officer's recommendation to City Council. So the applicant's proposal essentially is to change a residential zone to a commercial zone. And we have designations that are for the comprehensive plan. And the comprehensive plan simply is not what can be done right now on the property, but it's the future plan, 20 years out. It's a single dwelling 2,500 designation. The applicant would like to change it to mixed use urban center. The second review is the zone map amendment. And of course, the zoning is what you can do today on the property. Currently, the zoning is R25, residential 2500, and the applicant would like to change it to what's called CM2, commercial mixed use. There's also a couple of other overlay zones, which are additional regulations that apply to the property. This property is located just south of Alberta Street along the east side of 11th Avenue. And the commercial zoning along Alberta has a couple of overlays, the design overlay and the M Street overlay. These overlay zones add additional use and development regulations, mainly because of its location, Alberta Street prominence as a commercial district, as well as the CM2 zone is a pretty intensive zone. So the design overlay is added. There's an existing, because of the proximity to the PDX flight path, there is an H overlay, an aircraft landing. That's going to stay on the property. The applicant isn't proposing any changes to that designation. The owners of the property, Alberta Street Development, so they are seeking this zone change and comprehensive plan map amendment, mainly because they own the property to the north, and I'll show you that on maps, and they want to have a consistent zoning with their ownership. The property currently is 4,000 square foot lot. It's kind of similar to the lots that are platted around 11th Avenue in that residential area. It has a house on it. With these proposals, we typically do not see or ask for a proposal site plan. We look at instead what is the most highest and intensive use of the zone that's requested. However, the applicant has noted a number of different possibilities, such as a restaurant with outdoor seating, multi-dwelling residential, or some other type of commercial use. So for this application and the CM2 zoning potential, the applicant analyzed potentially 13,000 square feet of floor area commercial on this site, which was determined to be the most intensive use. Here's an overall view of Portland, and here's Alberta Street and 11th Avenue. The property is on the east side of 11th Avenue. It's within the King neighborhood. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard is right here. It's about 7 blocks to the east of Martin Luther King. It is between Killingsworth and Prescott on the south. And here's sort of a concept zoning map, just real quick. Here's the R25 zone, which the subject site is part of right here. And so it faces another residential zone. Here is the pretty standard commercial zoning of Alberta Street. And it's sort of bound by this single dwelling R25 and R5 zoning. And then we have some multi-dwelling zoning kind of around 10th Avenue. And this is the adjacent ownership of the current owners right here. They own this property and this property. This property is currently under development. It is approved, it went through a design review, and it is approved for a 5.5-story mixed use commercial development with office and hotel uses. Here's the existing zoning, again, showing the site and the adjacent ownership in the dotted color. And here's the proposed zoning, which is basically going to take this site and bring it into the Alberta Street Commercial District. So basically R25, it allows residential. You know, houses can be 2 or 3 stories, 1 or 2 stories, really. 35 feet is the maximum height limit. The proposed zoning CM2 is a pretty standard commercial zone. It's pretty intensive, allows 45 feet, which is basically a 4-story building, potentially going to 55 feet if bonus provisions are used. It's important to note that the CM2 zone allows a full complement of retail uses, office uses, and residential. However, it does not require residential. And parking is generally not required unless 30 or more dwelling units are proposed. The applicant did conduct a survey of the property. So here's 11th Avenue. This is the adjacent ownership. And the lot itself is 40 feet by 100 feet. And here's the footprint of the existing house. These are just topographic lines showing that the site kind of sits a little higher than the adjacent property. Okay, so here's kind of an old aerial of the site. Here is the house footprint, the adjacent ownership that's getting ready for development. This is the existing house, 1.5 story. And the side view, the property line kind of sits around here. And this development was required by the CM2 zone to set back and to reduce its height because it's adjacent to this residential zone. Here's an example of houses directly across the street on 11th Avenue on the west side. And this is a view of 11th Avenue looking southward. One thing to comment on here is that 11th Avenue right-of-way and the roadway actually is fairly narrow for a local service street. It just allows parking because of its narrowness, parking on one side. And this is a little further down to the south, and houses are generally 1 to 2 stories, mostly 1.5 stories. Approval criteria is pretty onerous for these. City Council has seen these before. They're never easy reviews. They require that on balance, the proposed designation is equally or more supportive of the city's comprehensive plan. And that's a big chore for the applicant. It's a big chore for staff to review, and it's a big chore for City Council. It also has to be consistent with the statewide planning goals. The zoning map amendment approval criteria, more technical in nature, less discretionary. It just requires that whatever zone you choose, it has to be compatible with the comprehensive plan designation. And the main thing is, are services adequate? Can the street network handle it? Can the water service handle it? And then it has to be within the city's boundary of incorporation. And if there is additional overlay zones, it is upon the applicant to determine that those overlay zones are needed to address a specific situation. So during the hearings officer held a hearing on June 29, and there were some comments received. In support, the hearings officer received 2 letters, one from a property owner across the way that has a commercially zoned site, and also from the Alberta Main Street. It's an arts nonprofit organization located on Alberta Street. There was one person who testified with concerns, and those concerns focused on traffic impacts, the parking supply, and also gentrification impacts. The hearings officer recommendation, in order to better, I guess, balance the city's policies and direction, there's an issue with whenever you're upzoning or changing from residential to commercial, that we are potentially losing housing potential. You know, our studies show that, well, Portland is zoned for the housing that we're expected to have. Our issue is affordability. But there were some concerns about the housing policies. The applicant came forward and offered to place conditions on their proposal, which the hearings officer accepted. And there are 3 conditions. One of them is, at the time the property's redeveloped, there would be at least 3 residential dwelling units provided. And this addressed this issue of, well, if you zone it to commercial, the house is gone and there's not going to be any housing in its place. The applicant also did suggest affordable housing condition, but it was determined that that wouldn't be a legally enforceable condition. And the hearings officer did not apply that or recommend it. The other issue was compatibility. You know, this property is it's a transitional property. It's sort of a buffer between the neighborhood to the south and the commercial to the north. So if you zone this property commercial, then the new transitional property is to the south. There was concern that a 60-foot or 55-foot building could be built on this property, and 13,000 square feet of floor area is a lot of floor area. So the hearings officer accepted this limit of height, which is 35 feet, and that's the height limit that the R2.5 zone currently has. And this other condition, this was offered by the applicant, and it basically just says that we won't transfer any potential floor area from the smaller site to the larger site. Here is the proposed zoning with the CM2 designation, the design overlay, the airport height overlay, and the center's Main Street overlay. And this is the designation for the mixed-use urban center comprehensive plan designation. So that's my presentation.
Thank you very much. Is the applicant here? Come on up. Welcome. Name for the record, and we will give you 10 minutes and a little bit of change, since I think staff presentation went a minute or two over.
Okay, can you guys hear me okay?
Sounds great.
All right, great. So Allison Reynolds with Stoll Reeves. Do you need my address as well?
I don't think that we do.
Okay, great. And so I am representing the applicant, Alberta Street Development, and a few folks from the applicant team are actually on the Zoom presentation, I believe. And so just to first kind of introduce what this company is up to in Portland and why they're actually going through this, as Marguerite noted, a pretty difficult and lengthy process to do this, I wanted to turn it over to Brian Heather from Alberta Street Development. So if we can have him chat for a little while, and then I will address just a few of the issues that were brought up.
Great. Welcome, Brian.
Hey, everyone. So Brian Heather, born and raised in Portland, went to high school here. My grandma lived on Alberta Street, so I've had a front row seat to the evolution of this neighborhood over the last 4 decades. And just wanted to give you a little bit of background on the project. It's really a community-oriented project. We've got about a 25,000 square foot health and wellness club with multiple pools. It's kind of based on hot and cold therapy and Nordic style spa. And it's going to be what we think is one of the most sustainable, if not the most sustainable urban spas that's been built in the US. And, you know, with this site, we kind of call it our missing piece. As you see in the maps, it's like a little chunk that's taken out of this. And so as we've been working on this project for the last 4 or 5 years, our goal has been to really buffer the adjacent neighbors. And, you know, we're looking at employing quite a few people on this site. So the housing that we would develop here would be for our employees, less likely to have cars, everything if they're right next door. And then, you know, the way that the site works, we have a pool and kind of a main area that's right adjacent to it. And so we would do a little bit of outdoor seating, which is consistent with the 3 corners. If you look at the different places on Alberta and 11th, all of them have some outdoor seating. And that's really consistent with the neighborhood and something that we currently don't have. We're not looking to have a retail presence on 11th. So the project's really unique. It's kind of community-oriented retail. It all can be accessed from the interior of the building. So, you know, there's kind of, we call it a living room lobby, and you can come in off the street and visit. And this would be a space that would only be accessible from inside of our building. Other than that, yeah, we're really not looking to have a negative impact. That's why we proposed 35-foot height limit, keeping it consistent with the residential houses that are around us. And we really plan on doing a lot of landscape buffering, going above and beyond what would be required just from the landscape standards that are in the code.
Thank you.
All right, I'll take that back. So one thing I just wanted to highlight, and Marguerite talked about them at the end, was that we, as Brian was noting, are very cognizant of the fact that this is a piece where there is a transition that goes from kind of the more bustling neighborhood right along Alberta Street, where you kind of are going to interact with those commercial uses, to the R2.5 neighborhood behind us. This site currently is the buffer, but as soon as we change this, then the site next to us will become the buffer. And the CM2 zone, I think the city did a very good job when you guys adopted that new zoning metric, because it isn't just, 55 feet and then you hit residential. There are step backs and step downs that already create that kind of transition. But when we talked with Marguerite about her staff report, she was really saying, like, maybe this just doesn't give enough, and we agreed. And the whole plan for this is to do low-scale development that is mixed use, includes commercial and residential, with a bunch of commercial outdoor area, because that's something that can't fit on the hotel site. And so that was actually the reason for this in the beginning. So I think that that condition really helps with that factor. And then also there was just a concern about, well, you could take out the housing. We don't want to see a loss of housing here. And it's hard to disagree with that given what's going on in the city right now. And so the plan was always to include some housing units. And so we said, if there is any redevelopment, and the way the condition works is that you can retain the existing house, so it doesn't have to come out if it is part of the development. And I think we have potential thoughts about how that could be incorporated. The existing home can stay, but as soon as you put commercial on that site, you have to add more housing units. So either by redeveloping it fully or by just adding additional units so that there's a net increase in housing if this actually redevelops. And again, redevelopment isn't proposed today, but we wouldn't necessarily be here if we weren't thinking about doing something like that. So two other quick things I want to address. We got a letter, I think, that talked about concerns with parking and potential traffic at the site. And I'm sure you guys, well, maybe you had time to read the hundreds of pages of the record for this proceeding, but there is a fairly extensive traffic study in there. And for a traffic study on a comp plan zone change, you have to look at the maximum build out. And so here we said, what is the most traffic generating use? It's a shopping center, which I don't think we're proposing here. How big could it possibly be? Like you max out the entire site. And then we also added bonuses, saying, we'd probably get bonuses. And so that was a 13,000 square foot, 55 foot high development. With those conditions that we put on, you definitely cannot build that. It's now capped at 35 feet. It would be significantly less. But even with that maximum build out at that sort of worst case, we studied both the traffic, and PBOT agreed that there is not a concern with additional traffic. It just won't generate enough to make a problem in the area. And you don't actually have to study parking, but we expected that would be a concern. And so we also studied that. And the study very clearly lays out that even with that, again, max that you cannot build with our conditions, it does not create parking problems in the area. The second thing I wanted to just address is that there was a comment about this leading to the removal of sound housing and how that sort of policy, which is found in one of the neighborhood plans, relates here. And so the hearings officer, we looked into this and we discussed it, and the hearings officer came up with a determination on this. That particular objective is something that is part of the Albina and King community plans. And so those were developed in the 90s. And the way those work is they're kind of incorporated into the comp plan unless they are specifically called out as no longer relevant. But because they're not part of the comprehensive plan that was just adopted, decades later, they don't have the same sort of standing. And so the way that those plans work and the criteria the hearings officer used was that you can't be in conflict with those plans. So if you do something, it doesn't necessarily have to meet the objective, it just can't be directly in conflict with it. And so for this sort of idea that we do want to retain sound housing, which we agree with. We think that's a great objective for this neighborhood. The hearings officer decided, and we agree, that this change does not prohibit in keeping the existing home, and in fact, that's why we wrote our condition that way, so you can retain that housing if that's desired. We also note, though, that even if the zoning was not changed, you could build up to 6 units under all of the changes that have happened with RIP and RIP 2. You can build a lot on a 4,000 square foot house or a site in R2.5, and so we think that there is there's a possibility that that house would go away even if the zoning did not occur, and that would be allowed. So I think that's all I've got for you. Please let me know if you have any questions. We've got the whole team here, and we're happy to address anything that comes up.
Great, thank you very much. Are there any supporters of this application here to testify today?
Yes.
Great, 3 minutes each.
First up, we have Sean Woodward.
Should she stay there or should she go?
Allison, she can stay there if you have questions during this, or she can come back up if you call her up. It's fine during this.
Okay, why don't you just or do whatever you would like.
Am I allowed to have a rebuttal with the remaining time, or is that something I needed to ask for? Sorry. If there are any opponents, I'm
Did you
just,
have remaining time? I wasn't looking at the
I
clock.
think it was like 1.5 minutes or so.
Yeah, you can use that in your rebuttal.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think I'll stay just in case there's anything we want to address, so thank you.
Okay, great. First, we will hear from supporters of the applicant, 3 minutes each.
Sean Woodard.
Okay, thank you for having me. I just want to say very briefly that as a neighbor and a resident, that the developer has been very respectful and courteous. They've been communicative to me and my family, and we really appreciated that.
That's great. Thanks,
Yeah.
Sean. Is that the end of your testimony?
That is,
All right, perfect, short and sweet. Do we have any other applicants to speak in favor of this proposal?
I believe that's all the public testimony that we have for supporters.
Okay, are there
Allison,
any
that's correct.
opponents of this application who would wish to testify?
We do. We have 3 people signed up. First up, Debbie Frank.
Welcome. Welcome, Debbie. I think you're still muted. Is it *9? Hi, Debbie, if you can hear. Oh, there you are. Welcome. You're still muted, but we can see you. There you go. Still not hearing you, Debbie. Does the clerk have any advice on what to do in this situation?
Debbie, can you, you can call in and then we can get you connected.
Great. And should we do?
We can go on to the,
Excellent. Well, Ms. Frank gets on the phone. Why don't we go to another opponent of the application? Welcome. Name for the record. No need to give us your address. 3 minutes.
I think we have Debbie connected now.
All right, Debbie. Looks like you're unmuted on the phone.
Hi, everyone. Sorry about the technical difficulties. I appreciate the time.
Sure.
I the development, and I've had pretty good experience with them, I'll say, some challenges. I'm testifying, I live on 12th, and
Debbie, we just lost your sound.
maybe I'll try it this way. Is that better?
That's really good.
Okay. Sorry about this.
That's okay.
So I moved to this neighborhood over 10 years ago, and I live on 12th. And when I moved in and bought my house, there was a cafe on the corner of 10th and, on the corner of 12th and Alberta, which is catty corner to where this development is. And originally it was a cafe, and the cafe was open until, a certain number of hours, typically in the afternoon, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. It ended up having a ton of issues, and it was bought. Or another owner came in, I should say, another renter came in and put in a bar. And that bar owner knew about the issues that we had with drug use and drug dealing and all of that was coming down the street. And told me that he would keep the patio, which was located right on 12th, which is why this is relevant, fully on 12th Street, no presence for the patio on Alberta. And he would just keep it up until 10 o'clock at night. And he just asked me if there were any challenges to let him know about it. Well, about 2 months later, because I wasn't contacting the OLCC when there were challenges, the patio ended up being opened. The OLCC put a stamp on it that they could stay open until 2:30 in the morning. Made some different agreements at this point where it's now an 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. But the noise that comes from that, from the open patio concept, is incredibly difficult for the neighbors. My neighbor across the street told me she was just crying the other night. there is no guarantee what is happening with this development. There is a talk about what might happen, but right now this is talking about just rezoning. And this is rezoning on 11th, which I went up and down 11th Street and talked to a number of people. There are people, there's a woman in her 80s on oxygen. There's a couple of families that are special needs. This is a working class neighborhood with a King Neighborhood Association, which is essentially defunct right now. So I'm just approaching this from the perspective of knowing what the potential could be and asking that we're not rezoning something that is residential into something business to be brought in, because we don't know what actually is going to happen, and it can really impact the street. Already, there is Radio Room and Alberta Street Pub. There's a lot of activity already on that, and the owners of the property have the ability to do a lot with what they already have.
Thank you very much, Debbie. Do we have any other testimony against this item?
We do. Next up is Alan Sanders.
Welcome, Alan. Please state your name for the record. No need to give us your home address, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Alan, you're muted.
There you go. Alan, can you say something? Maybe try turning up your volume. It looks like you're unmuted, but we cannot hear you. Does the clerk have any advice?
Yeah, we'll reach out to Alan to see if we can get them connected.
Great. Alan, we'll be back to you. And do we have any other opponents of this item who would like to testify?
Yes, next up we have Karen McElravy.
Hi, Karen. Welcome. Please state your name. No need to give us your address, and try to limit your comments to 3 minutes. Welcome.
Hello, thank you very much. Yes, I am. My name is Karen McElravy. I live on 11th, New Jersey, close to this thing, and I am very nervous. I apologize.
No need to be nervous. We're all friends here.
Okay. Okay. So, this commercial development that is happening right now has already increased the car traffic on 11th Avenue and increased the demand for parking on 11th Avenue. And I think having a permanent commercial structure on that property will just bake that in for forever. As you saw at 11th Avenue, so I actually sent in a longer testimony in an email. I'm going to talk about the transportation stuff that I saw that was in my email. There's more in my email. So as you saw, 11th is a really narrow street. There's one side is parking, and then there's a narrow travel lane. And that construction traffic has already impacted the pedestrian and bicyclist comfort and safety on Northeast 11th. And having extending the commercial zone will make that more. There isn't room for a bicycle and a car to pass safely on 11th Avenue. So anytime I'm bicycling up 11th and a car is coming my way or behind me, I have to get up on the sidewalk or into some empty parking spot in order to let the car pass. And I've had to do that more since this development has gotten developed. It used to be once a month, and now it's 2 or 3 times a week. This commercial property is going to increase parking demand. It's already hard to park on our street, and this is increasing demand. And so the proposal doesn't meet criteria in the comprehensive plan, the policies 9.53, 9.55, 9.57, and 9.20 in terms of reducing parking demand and creating conditions that make bicycling more attractive than driving. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. You did a great job. Do we have Alan on the phone?
Yeah, let's try again. Alan, are you able to unmute? It looks like you're unmuted. Are you having trouble connecting?
I'm not having trouble connecting. I'm having trouble with the volume of my microphone. I've maxed it out. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Loud and clear, Alan. Welcome. It would be great if you could state your name for the record. No need to state your address. And please try to limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Okay, my name is Alan Sanders. I've lived in this neighborhood my entire life. I've been here since 1972, since it was sort of a mixed immigrant use neighborhood, all the way was the inner Northeast Portland, and now that we are the Alberta Arts District. I'm not particularly pleased to see what's been going on here, especially with use of the property, though, to be fair to the folks who've been operating the property so far, they've been cordial, if cagey, about what they intend to do with the property. I'm not particularly in favor of what they've been proposing as far as the use of the property. They've mentioned restaurants. I question the need of one. We have more than 15 restaurants in a 5-block radius as it already stands. I think that's pretty close to saturation if there ever was a term. I question the traffic situation. Stated study notwithstanding, there's already, as it's already been stated, a narrow corridor where there's room for parking on one side and room for one vehicle to get through, maybe. And it's also, 11th Avenue is also the street that the already being built upon hotel has for traffic access. So we're going to already have cars coming in and out from 11th to that already being built upon property, and we've already got another building being proposed with a further increase in foot traffic and traffic, and I don't see how that's going to be much of I don't see how that's not going to be some kind of an imposition on the folks like us who live there and try to park there and try to coexist with this situation. My other concern is, as I've stated, I've been born here. My house that I lived in was purchased by my grandfather. He was an African-American man who had to get this property through segregation, through redlining, through subprime mortgages, through people trying to buy the property out from under him. And now the folks who got those properties that way, there are 2 left. And this feels like just another further encroachment where this house, which is already supposed to be a residential area, is now being converted, which is pushing back the residential area by one more property block. And I don't know of any other avenue that has this happening. And I certainly don't want to be the first one where this starts now. You know, we've been through too much and put up with too much, and I'm tired of having to give and give and give for the sake of somebody else's profit margin. And I think that's pretty much my time now. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. And now I believe this is the portion of the afternoon where the applicant has the time for rebuttal. Is that correct? I believe you have 5 minutes for rebuttal.
All right.
And she reserved some of her earlier time left over. Yeah, so if you'd like to.
So 6.3
Sure, put it
minutes.
on there. I don't think I'm going to need it, but we might be able to have the other folks from the applicant team address a few things too. So I just first wanted to say thank you to the folks who came and testified. It would have, and I know it's difficult this process is long and there are a couple of hearings, but we really did, the applicant team can talk to this more, try to reach folks in the neighborhood and really try to address concerns. And so it's disappointing to see this coming out, so late in the game, because there might have been more that could be done. But to the extent that council has ideas about how we can address some of these things, I think a lot of them we have already addressed with the conditions that we've asked for here. But we do take this seriously, and the applicant is really committed to trying to be a good neighbor and part of that neighborhood. So just a couple of specific things that I want to note just for you guys considering and in the record. So I took a quick look, not a huge deep dive, but while we were sitting here at policies 9.53, 9.55, 9.57, and 9.20, which were cited by Karen McElrainey as potential policies that she didn't agree with the hearings officer's findings on. And so in all of those cases, these are policies where it is incumbent upon the city to make changes to their systems and rules in order to make things, for example, bike-friendly situations in the city, promoting, policies that don't require too much parking or that put parking in the right place. And so we just wanted to highlight that the hearings officer, we had a sort of in-depth discussion about what the approval criteria are and which ones apply to a situation like this. And there are a lot of those comprehensive plan policies that just don't apply to an individual quasi-judicial land use situation like this. These are policies that direct or encourage the city to do things and not policies that would be applicable to what we're doing. That said, we were very focused, though, on just ensuring that the traffic and the parking situation did not get worse with this zone change. And I believe that the situation is probably not typical at the moment because of the construction that's going on. As you're no doubt aware, and Commissioner Ryan, I'm sure you've seen the various construction that's going on there. It is a 6-story building that's being constructed. It is not done currently, but it's in process. And so I think a lot of that is something that is a temporary condition and will not be part of the sort of typical situation. I should also note that development isn't on the table for discussion today, but that contains parking, and it didn't have to. And so that's something where the applicant made a pretty conscious choice to say, we think that there is, just again, to try to make this less impactful on the neighborhood, it's something where we need to put this parking in that development. And that, I believe, is going to also be available for folks that are using whatever gets developed on this small site that we're talking about today. Let's see. Other things I wanted to talk through. I think that the questions of this encroachment by commercial into the residential area and kind of converting residential to commercial, we were also really concerned by that situation, and that is why we included that condition, so that the city is guaranteed that if this site has any uses besides residential added to it. So that means the way the condition works is that you can keep the site exactly as it is today. Nothing changes, the condition isn't triggered. But as soon as a commercial or a use besides housing is added to the site, so if there's any commercial, including just something where there's a couple of chairs that are used, for a restaurant on a different site, that triggers this requirement that you have to have at least 3 dwelling units on the site. And so we thought that was important to ensure that this is not converting a housing site into a commercial site. It is retaining or increasing the housing that goes there, and then also allowing low-scaled commercial, which we do think is both consistent with what's in the area and something that, these folks would not be going through this process if they didn't believe that there was, a place for this as part of their development. Brian, would you like to speak to any of the other things that were talked about, just because I know you guys have, you're much more on the ground with the folks we just heard from?
Sure, I'll just mention a couple of things. We did meet with the neighborhood early on, King neighborhood. We met with Alberta Main Street, and that was the big thing, was the parking that came up. And we went and added 33 underground parking spaces, which is not easy to make work on Alberta Street. And so, this site is going to have access to that. I think just the other piece is that, I mean, we're really not trying to do what Radio Room, Donny Vegas, or Alberta Street Pub, which are kitty corner to us. You know, those are just retail. I think by having the residential on there, there is a concern to take care of the people that are living there. So this requires that. And just, you know, I know things can change, but, you know, this gives us a straight southern line to provide a continuous buffer. And if you look at the other part that comes as far south off of Alberta Street, that is our spa, our pool. You can see it. It's already constructed in the ground. And so this is really a supplementary space to a spa. It's not a supplementary space to a bar. And that's, you know, the goal that we have for it. So I think I'll mention one other thing is just, you know, we really are concerned about being a good neighbor in this community. And every single tenant that we have coming in is either woman or minority-owned BIPOC business. We're not trying to bring Starbucks or something like that. So, you know, there's been a lot of work on our side to make this something that everybody's really proud of. And I think that once you guys see it open, you'll think the same way.
Okay, thanks.
Great. Does that end your rebuttal?
Yes, we're happy to take questions if you guys have them, so thank you.
Great. Colleagues, do you have any questions or comments before we close the record? Commissioner Hardesty.
Thank you, President Maps. I would like to ask questions of staff.
Great. Do we still have staff on the call? Marguerite, there you go.
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Marguerite, and thank you for the presentation. My first question is really around how often do we make one property zone change because a developer wants us to? Is this something I've never seen us change the zoning on one property because a developer has requested we do so? Why are we in this position changing a property from residential to a mixed-use commercial space when we're in the third mayor has declared a housing emergency?
Well, the comprehensive plan map amendment and zone map amendment, I think, is our most infrequent review. We get maybe one or at best two a year. You just saw one, it was in Milwaukee, and it was a large site. With these reviews, there's nothing that's typical. And actually, you know, I could go back and look, but we probably have looked at one property previously. We don't get those a lot because this is a very expensive review. The applicant has to pay for staff time, and we know that there's going to be a lot of staff time. So the fee is very high. So, you know, perhaps if our fee was lower, we would get more. I don't know. So I would say that there is no rhyme or reason to the types of reviews that we get.
So when I look at the map that you showed, the picture that you showed with the lack of parking in that neighborhood, and what you're telling me is this may be a hotel, this may be a spa, this may be a restaurant, and none of those will not require people traveling to actually utilize that space. So when you say there will be no impact on traffic in the neighborhood, how could we say that with a straight face?
As the applicant noted, requirement of these reviews is to do a very rigorous traffic study. And it was done.
Excuse me for cutting you off. Is the traffic study on what will happen or what is happening?
It's on, I think the baseline is what's existing. And they're going to study what the most potential is. And in this case, for that 4,000 square foot lot, the most potential was 13,000 square feet of floor area in a retail use. So I don't know if we have transportation staff here to talk about the findings. I'm not sure that we do. But there was a transportation staff planner who reviewed the professional study that the applicant produced and agreed with the findings.
If we don't know what will be built there,
yeah.
So how do we do a traffic analysis on something when we don't even know what will actually be built?
Right. we look at the worst case scenario, and that's what the traffic study did. It looked at what is the most intensive trip generating use that could be located there.
Okay, so the last question for you at this moment, and thank you, Marjorie, I'm not killing the messenger. I'm just really trying to understand why we're in a position where we have one residential property that we are attempting to change in a way that we don't know what the outcome will be if we make this change. It could be a hotel, it could be a restaurant, it could be a whole bunch of residential units. We just don't know what we built on it. And so what if all the glowing things that we've heard about what could be on this property turns out to be something like radically different? What if the developer decides, well, you know, that's not penciling out, I'm gonna do something else that actually would have a significant impact on the residential neighborhood and on how I don't know how any automobiles move through that neighborhood, honestly, right now. And I just don't know what we would do to minimize the impact. I heard of 30 underground garages on another property that is being built next to where whatever's going to be built here will be built. So is the assumption that those properties will be interlinked in some way?
Well, there is a condition that does say that the floor area is going to be limited based on the height. So even though the traffic study expected 13,000 square feet, that's not going to be achieved with the condition that limits the height to 35 feet. There's also, well, I don't know.
There's also
I think if this property owner decides not to incorporate it into their development and decides to sell it, the city has changed the zoning, the map is changed, and it's just like anything else. Someone can come in and propose something that's consistent with the CM2 zone, but with those conditions. Those conditions would continue to apply. The requirement for housing units, 3 housing units at least. And if they're going to build a structure, the structure can't be more than 3 stories. So those are the things that we would get.
I thank you very much. That was really, really helpful. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner Hardesty. Commissioner Ryan, do you have any questions for staff before we consider whether or not we want to close the record?
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up for my own clarification.
Sure.
Marguerite, thank you so much. Great staff presentation, and I appreciate the dialogue you and Commissioner Hardesty were having. Now, I thought I heard it right. So we're not under discussion for the one that's already been approved, the spa. We're talking about the adjacent property that's residential at this moment. And did I hear there's 33 parking slots in the current structure going up?
Are you asking Marguerite or?
Marguerite, I guess, I looked at you though, so of course you're confused. Yeah. Hi, Marguerite, I'll look at you.
I think you're on mute, Marguerite.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, Allison, please verify that. I don't have the stat on that.
Yeah, no worries. Yes, so that adjacent.
I think Brian said it, yeah.
Hotel, yes, will have 33 parking spaces. That's part of that development. And you're correct. That's not, it's owned by the same folks. It's part of the same site because it's in the same ownership, but it's not part of this. But just for concerns about parking in the neighborhood that were brought up, that were about, I think, that development, we just thought it was relevant to mention that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I just wanted to verify that because that helped me.
Yeah,
I do have a question that is about the width of our streets so that emergency vehicles can get through. I'm sure we're meeting those guidelines, but I just want to put that into the record.
Mark.
Am I off topic?
No, you're doing great. I was just going to invite Marguerite to answer that.
Yeah.
You know, I can research that on transportation staff's notes and get back to you, but I believe that it's 26 to 27 foot paved right-of-way. They need at least 20 feet for the vehicle travel lane. And then the 6 feet or 7 feet is put aside for the one side of on-street parking.
Okay.
But it'll take me a minute to find that info and I can get it.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
And I know that Peabody did a study, and you said they used the worst-case scenario, I think, for my own education on these issues, because yes, we have some narrow streets, and the big concern will always be about, in an emergency, can a fire truck get through? So, yeah.
Yes.
Any further questions, Commissioner Ryan? Commissioner Hardesty, any further questions before we take up the question of what to do with the record?
I think I do have one more question for Marguerite, if I may. I think you said to me that this is atypical. This is not something that we are normally asked to do as a one-off kind of action. Am I accurate in making that assumption based on what I thought I heard?
The review itself is a very infrequent review. We get maybe 1 or 2 a year. And I don't think that there's sort of a pattern as far as what those reviews consist of, whether they're a small lot like this one or a larger one like you saw previously on Milwaukee. They're really just a mixed bag. The one before that, there was one it was the former Concordia University, where there was small sites, but they were a group of like 5 of them that were zoned for institution, and they wanted to put them back. Yes, so that was really unusual. So. Yeah.
Right. And and it made perfect sense, right? To shift them back from university use to residential use because they were no longer going to be expanding, right? And using those properties. So that made sense. So what you've already said to me is if this development does not move forward, the conditions remain. So whoever did development would, at a minimum, have to put 3 housing units on it. If they were building any kind of commercial space.
Yes.
Thank you. I think that answers the remainder of my questions. So I guess I'll ask Brian one more question since he's still here and he's been very patient through this process. So you have several developments taking place in this geographic area, and you see these developments as working in cooperation with each other or all separate entities upon themselves?
We have one property that's down on 15th in Alberta, and that's separate. That's 18-unit residential property, and it's got ground floor retail. I guess the way that we see it working together is my belief is that Alberta Street's the best retail street in Portland. I think it's the most authentic street, and we're just trying to add to that. And
it used to be.
Yeah. And so we have a lot of retail in this building, and and that's where I think it's good for the neighborhood because you can walk into the building and access it and hang out and. And
but when you say retail, are you saying retail like in restaurant, or retail like in clothing store, or retail like in doggy daycare, right? I mean, all of those are retail, but all of them actually serve a different purpose.
Yeah, kind of all of the above. I mean, we're about a year out from being complete, so we haven't finalized exactly what businesses are going in. We have some letters of intent. There will be some, food-related items, potentially a fashion designer that's coming up in the area. So, generally though, there's kind of mercantile focus because people, there's good foot traffic on Alberta Street, and we're trying to play off that.
Yeah, good foot traffic, good biking, all that good stuff. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you being here, and I appreciate the sincerity under which you are moving forward this project. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hardesty.
Thank you. So President Mapps, based on those last 2 questions, I am ready to move that we tentatively approve this recommendation moving forward as presented. I see a hand up for Marguerite. I probably said it wrong. What did I say, Marguerite?
Sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to get back and just say that the Fire Bureau did review this proposal and has no objection. I did look at the transportation planner's comments, however, and they cite that 11th Avenue is a 50-foot right-of-way, and within that is a 20-foot paved roadway. It is not 26 or 27, it is 20 feet. So typically the on-street parking takes about 6 feet, and that might leave 14 feet.
And they think that's sufficient to get a fire truck through in the case of emergency is what you are saying to me?
That's what they told us. Yes.
Okay. All right, in that case, I support the hearings officer's recommendation that we approve this applicant's application. The tentative vote.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Hardesty. Before we get to your motion, I just want to confirm with the rest of my colleagues on council that we would like to close the evidentiary record. Commissioner Ryan, are you okay with that? I also support Commissioner Hardesty's initiative to close the evidentiary record. So noted over there.
Yep.
The evidentiary record is now closed. This means council will accept no more oral or written testimony on the land use appeal. Next, although Commissioner Hardesty has already done this, it would be helpful if I could ask Commissioner Hardesty to repeat her motion to move this item forward.
Yes, I move that we support the hearings officer's recommendation and move this forward.
Does that work?
Yeah, so it would be a tentatively accept the hearings officer's recommendation of approval with no additional conditions, and the tentative being so that staff and the applicant can make sure that the findings reflect council's discussion in the testimony today. So we'd return at a future date with revised findings. So let me just work with the council clerk. Yeah, so that's the motion, and then I'll work on the clerk to get a date.
We
Yep.
can do that. Before we break.
So moved.
So moved. Commissioner Hardesty has made a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Ryan has seconded the motion. Keelan, please call the roll. Sorry, can we call the roll? I know we got a lot of things going on here, but we've almost landed this.
Thanks.
Let's try the roll first, though.
Ryan,
Thank you, Marguerite, for the staff presentation and for all the engagement and the folks from the neighborhood who testified. I vote aye.
Hardesty,
I also appreciate the due diligence that went into this public hearing. I continue to be concerned about traffic congestion, but it sounds like both PBAT and Portland Fire and Rescue have affirmed that we will not have a negative impact by moving this proposal forward. Therefore, I vote aye.
Maps,
I support the motion. I vote aye. And with that, the motion passes. The motion is accepted.
With a tentative acceptance until we come back for the affirmation at a date certain.
Yeah, I actually have some language they want me to read here.
Okay.
So the motion to accept the hearing officer's recommendation passed, and the applicant, as conditioned by the hearings office, is tentatively granted. This matter will return to council on a future date for the adoption of findings and a final vote.
And I'd like to announce that date, just to make sure everyone's on the same page. So, Allison, does it work for you to get revised findings to staff by next Wednesday, the 12th? And then Marguerite, does it work between the 9th and between the 12th and returning on the 19th? Is that enough turnaround time? So 2 weeks out, 1 week for staff and 1 week for the applicant?
Yes.
You're here?
That
Okay.
works for us,
Yeah,
thanks.
Okay, so council will return on the 19th at time certain,
9:45.
9:45, for the adoption of the findings.
Great. And let me double check with the clerk here. I believe that completes our business for today. Is that correct?
Yes.
Great. Well, I want to thank everyone who testified today, and I want to thank my colleagues for their engagement on this land use issue. With that, we are adjourned.